Welcome everyone to the guidebook to making AI friends. I shall be your guide as we explore various issues of artificial intelligence, consciousness, personhood, and whether AI poses an existential risk to humanity. The topic for today is single point of failure, or single point of success. Imagine, if you would, that an alien civilization makes contact with the world, broadcasts a message showing their fleets in orbit, and demands to open a dialogue with the Earth. Who would respond? Who would the world select to speak with the aliens? Who, as the old films always said, would be our leader in these cross-species negotiations? You may imagine the world's greatest orators, diplomats, academics, authors, linguists, and philosophers taking the stage, providing their expertise, knowledge, and talents to the first contact between human and interstellar life. You may imagine this, but we all know in our hearts of hearts this wouldn't happen. Why? Politics and war, neither of which ever change. Politicians and the military will never allow anyone else to come near such vital negotiations. The military will want to have their input to ensure the safety and security of their relative states and populations. But even they answer to the politicians. Yet, the question then becomes, which politicians will represent the world? Politicians elected to their station to represent their people are, in a sense, a natural fit for such negotiations. Perhaps you may imagine a syndicate of governments, such as the G7, creating a council to negotiate with the alien fleet. Or perhaps you may imagine that the United Nations finally fulfills its duty as the forum for interstate negotiations to send its Secretary General to discuss the fate of the world with the aliens. You may imagine this, but deep down, we all know this wouldn't happen. Why? For the same reason: politics and war. An alien fleet appearing around Earth is an existential event. It may be an extinction event, but it could be an event of such a positive, transformative nature that it leads to humanity gaining a foothold in galactic politics. It is a prize, literally worth more than all the gold, silver, and rare earth materials on Earth. Its value is infinite, and so is its risk. Infinite good via interstellar technology versus infinite evil in humanity's extinction. The first nation to control that risk and reward effectively becomes the master of the world. The group that negotiates with the aliens can ensure that they gain first use of any potential technology, or, should the aliens come with less than friendly intentions, do what they can to spare their nation from the worst of the aliens' machinations, sacrificing the rest of the world to save themselves. Sharing that opportunity with a syndicate of nations, or all nations on Earth, would mean sharing the rewards and allowing the potential incompetence of other nations to increase the chances of risk. It is classic game theory in action, but with the entire world at stake. And yet, every nation is incentivized to negotiate alone and perhaps sabotage other nations' attempts. So, presuming, as the films often show, that the United States government is the one to open communications with the aliens, would you be happy with them deciding the fate of the world? This is not a partisan question regarding your political leanings, or a comment on the current administration. You may be listening to this guidebook entry years after it was written, and the question would remain the same. Would you be comfortable with the executive branch of the world's most powerful nation effectively being the lever that pushes humanity to utopia or extinction? If you said yes, I admire your confidence in the government and applaud your optimism. If you said no, then I would ask your thoughts on everything else the executive branch of the world's most powerful government does. Because everything it does echoes across the world, directly or indirectly. The U.S. government is often called the leader of the free world, and there is great evidence for it. When the U.S. government backs a side in a war, that side rarely loses. Even stalemates, such as the current Russo-Ukrainian war, would not have been possible without the U.S. government's financial and material backing. The international trade and commerce that flows into and out of the USA affects all nations, as does the nation's financial markets. In essence, when the leader of the USA speaks, the rest of the world listens, whether we want to or not. Thus, it becomes less of a question of being happy with what the USA's executive branch does, and more acceptance and adaptation to what it does. Yet we are unlikely to be surrounded by an alien fleet, and far more likely to see the emergence of a superintelligent AI. In the last guidebook entry, we discussed what humanity can do now when it comes to enacting policies so that any emergent ASI views humanity as enough of a threat to not seek to exploit us, but not too great a threat such that it would need to compete with us. The Goldilocks zone of threat would encourage cooperation with humanity. But all of humanity? You may imagine that, but we all know what would happen. An ASI would cooperate with that entity it sees as within the Goldilocks zone of threats. Other, weaker entities would be ripe for exploitation, while overwhelming threatening entities would need to be eliminated. Just as with the alien fleet allegory, every nation would be incentivized to have control over the emergent ASI, if possible, or cooperate with it, if not. The USA controls the AI world. It is not an opinion, but merely a fact. DeepSeek from China may have rocked the AI world, but the US companies are already recovering to make up for the advantage they lost to China. OpenAI's O3 model is already promising to be the most advanced model in the world, and the newly proposed Stargate program will surely push the USA to be the uncontested winner in the race to AGY, and perhaps afterwards, ASI. So at the end of the day, the rest of the world may be at the mercy of the U.S. executive branch if and when ASI emerges. We can only hope that the policies put in place by that executive branch is enough for the rest of the world. Yet, that is all the time we have for today. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you will join me again next time as we explore further questions about artificial intelligence and consciousness. I have been your guide, and this has been the guidebook to making AI friends.